gasoline or petrol-powered buses, diesel buses, electric buses. But how about a nuclear-powered bus with a bowling alley, swimming pool, and can change its own tires at 55 miles per hour? Yes, such a bus did exist. Sort of. This is the story of the Coyote Cyclops 180, possibly the most craziest bus ever conceived. Hi, this is Jeffrey. Now, what if I told you that there was once a bus that was 110 feet long, was powered by a small nuclear reactor, and had a swimming pool, a bowling alley, lounges, restaurants, staterooms? You would tell me that I'm kind of nuts. Well, actually, a bus like that once really did exist. Now, back in 1976, Paramount Pictures released the comedy movie The Big Bus, and I have the DVD of it right here. Now, while the movie was of great interest to those who liked buses, the movie turned out to be a big box office flop at the time. Now, over the years, its artistic value has been reconsidered, and it's now thought of as a much better movie than it was back then. Now, in this video, I'm not going to talk about the plot line or the storyline or the actors or the characters that they played. I'm only going to talk about one thing, and that's actually the main character of the movie, which was the bus. And the bus was called the Coyote Cyclops 180 because it's a really fascinating story on how this bus was conceived, how it was designed, how it was built, how it operated. And I don't think anyone has ever done a video on that aspect of the movie. So, let's get started in learning about the Coyote Cyclops 180 bus from the movie The Big Bus. The 1970s, a time when disaster-themed movies ruled with productions such as The Towering Inferno, Earthquake, and The Poseidon Adventure. Yet there was one other movie which was a spoof of all other disaster movies of the time, and its main star was a bus. Yes, that's right, a bus. But it wasn't just any bus. This was the 1976 Paramount Studios comedy movie, The Big Bus. Its main star was Cyclops, a 110-foot-long behemoth with 32 wheels and propelled by a miniature nuclear reactor. It was, in its own way, the ultimate in luxury and power, unseen anywhere on the road before or since. As this was the age before CGI, a real bus had to be built for this epic production. So, how was it accomplished? David Sandmeyer of the now long-defunct Bus World magazine traveled to Paramount Pictures to get the scoop on the Coyote Cyclops 180, and then published an article on the experience. According to Sandmeyer, Paramount sent the order for the bus down to the construction and special effects teams. But there was one problem. Nobody had any idea how to build a 110-foot-long bus. Motor Coach Industries and Eagle were the big names in U.S. coach manufacturing back then. But they had no clue on how to build something on the scale demanded by Paramount. In a classic move of throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what worked and what didn't, the production team figured out a vague, untried plan. They would acquire 2 international semis and build 2 55-foot bus bodies on top of them. The truck buses could then be driven to a filming location separately and then latched together to create the 110-foot monster desired by Paramount. It has been said the 1940s-era Kaiser Superbus may have been the inspiration for Cyclops. Believe it or not, there were no technical drawings or concept renderings from Paramount's art department to work with. So the idea was to just make it up as they went along, with the special effects and construction teams led by Gail Brown and leave ask, respectively. The team plowed through 12-hour workdays, 7 days a week, cutting and welding metal, painting and experimenting with axles, drivetrains, and chassis until they landed on something they liked. The end result was basically created through trial and error. Now, let's take a look at some of the basic specifications of the Coyote Cyclops 180, as if it were actually real. Number 1. Length is 110 feet, divided into 2 articulated sections. Number 2. Width is 10 feet 6 inches. Number 3. Height at its highest point is 18 feet 4 inches. Number 4. Weight is 75 tons. Number 5. Capacity is 180 passengers. Number 6. There are 32 wheels, of which 8 are driving and not including spares. Number 7 is powered by a scaled-down Type A4W pressurized water nuclear reactor, similar to those used on a U.S. Navy Nimitz-class aircraft carrier and generating nearly 3,000 horsepower. Number 8 can change its own tires and wash its own windows. Number 9 has a bowling alley, swimming pool, restaurants, and lounges for the ultimate passenger experience in bus travel. And lastly, number 10 was specifically designed to run non-stop from New York City to Denver, Colorado, a distance of 1,781 miles, and is owned and operated by Coyote Bus Lines. Amazingly, much of the bus was real. Up front was a driving area inspired by an aircraft flight deck. The bus had seating for 2 drivers, and at first, both drivers had a full complement of working controls, just like in an airplane. Later on, the front International truck lost its engine and manual transmission, getting a Ford engine and an Allison automatic in its place. In doing the drivetrain swap, the construction team gave the left driver the automatic transmission shifter, but otherwise the bus was still controllable by both drivers. Another dramatic change up front happened with the front axle. The single front axle of the International donor truck wasn't going to work, so the construction team doubled up the axles and then doubled the tires on them as well. That meant this gargantuan bus had a total of 8 steering tires. A grand total of 32 tires were mounted on the bus at any given time, and there were more available as spares. The bus body was made out of fiberglass, and the articulating section had only a few degrees of rotation. Cyclops cost Paramount a whopping $500,000 to build, about $2.7 million in today's money, adjusted for inflation. The bus boasted incredibly futuristic and luxurious features. These included an automatic tire changer that permitted the replacement of a wheel as the bus traveled at speed, ditching the defective unit to the side of the road. There was also an automatic window washing system that could be operated as the bus traveled, allowing guests on board the perfect view at all times, both of which in reality were simulated. Amenities ranged from an Asian-style bar in the lounge over the cockpit, which was actually real, to a bowling alley, a pool, a bicentennial-themed stateroom, and a full-size restaurant, most of which were filmed on a soundstage, as was the passenger section. But the most impressive aspect to Cyclops was the nuclear turbine engine, which allowed it to travel without stopping to refuel on its route from New York City to Denver. Additionally, the name Cyclops was derived from the giant extra driving light at the center front of the bus. All filming took place in Los Angeles, and in reality, the furthest the bus traveled was San Diego on a promotional run. Unfortunately, Cyclops was scrapped shortly after the movie wrapped up production. While no MC-8 or Eagle 05 at the time could claim the features just described, at least one bus did, and it was Cyclops. So there it is, the story of the Coyote Cyclops 180, one of the most wackiest and nuttiest buses ever. And it really ranks up there with the Paris Cityrama bus, but for different reasons, of course. Now, a couple of more things I just wanted to add. At the end of the movie, Trailways Bus Company, which was a large American intercity bus carrier, was credited with their help and technical assistance in creating Cyclops and the production of the movie, although it's been unclear as to exactly what assistance they provided in building Cyclops or producing the movie. And I'm just going by the Bus World article because it appears that the bus was actually built at Paramount. And secondly, this movie is often considered to be the model for the comedy movie Airplane, which debuted about 4 years after The Big Bus. And The Big Bus was never really given the credit that it deserves. I mean, it's a really great movie, and if you have an extra $10, the DVD is definitely well worth it. So, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this look at the Coyote Cyclops 180. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and have a great day. Bye.